Evening, folks. Welcome back to the Leeds View for this week's podcast. We take a little bit of a look back at the Bournemouth game and a little bit of a look forward to the Spurs game, and then a bit of a bigger look at what's ahead of Leeds United after the international break and what will come after a pretty difficult start to the season, according to Opta. We'll let Paul go through some Opta difficulty statistics around what comes up for Leeds in the next 6 games. And we'll see where we are then. But it's been a good start to the season. We want to have a little bit of a chat about that. But I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Jerry McNamee and by Paul Brooker from the Leeds Therapy. We'll check in with the guys first. Jerry, how are you and how has your week and weekend been?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the game at the weekend. It was really good. I met Johnny Giles, which is one of the greatest Irish players ever and maybe one of the greatest Leeds. And interestingly, just sitting behind me was Anthony Barry, the England assistant manager, and I did ask him who he was there to watch, but he wasn't giving anything away. But there wasn't many English players in the Bournemouth team, so Longstaff, Bogle, Calvert-Lewin, are they getting called up? No, good week, and 4 points from 3 games scenario keeps going. I'm contented, disappointing, but the overall picture is okay.
Yeah, it's been pretty positive. Those asking about Dan James covered it in the news today. He's good. He's got an ankle injury. He should be back in a couple of weeks. Nothing major, nothing long term, and nothing definitely like what was going around yesterday morning, which caused all of us to put out content and then rapidly try and change that content and then make a mess of that content and then just sit back and watch what happened for the day. But yeah, he's all good. Greg Bellamy reckons he might even play for Wales next week, which I think Leeds would be minded not to let him go. Hang him back and see how he gets on. Paul, how are you, mate? How was your week and weekend?
Good. I'm really good. Happy with the performance on Saturday. Should have seen it out. It is what it is. It's the Premier League. I am allegedly is the word that I've come to use quite frenetically yesterday. No, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm pleased with the way things are going. I'm pleased with what I'm seeing from the team. Personally, I'm quite happy. I'm tired, very busy. I've managed to scalp myself a ticket for Tottenham on Saturday, so I've got that to look forward to, early start. So I'm in a good place, Joe. I'm in a good place. My face looks like I've got high blood pressure, but I'm in a very good place.
Good. Couple of bits and pieces just to bring up to date on really quick. There's a QR code right here beside me, and that's if you want to vote for us in the Football Content Awards. We are in the initial nominations. There will be a shortlist announced mid this month. And then if we're on that shortlist, then we get to go to Elland Road and be up for the actual awards itself. And this man down below will be repping the View on Saturday outside Elland Road as he speaks to TNT Sports. All going well, not 100% confirmed just yet. But yeah, they did ask us if we'd pop along and have a chat before the Spurs game. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, keep an eye out for Paul outside of Elland Road this weekend as well. But yeah, scan that code and it'll bring you to the voting page. Best podcast and best Premier League content. And that will be the 2 categories that we're sitting in right now. Right, let's crack on. Let's get into this and start talking about the game. Jerry, 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Looked like it was going to be all 3 points. We'd have happily taken a point before the game. It wasn't to be. And in the dying minutes, Leeds concede again in injury time. But what were your thoughts on the overall game?
I thought we obviously started well. We could have been 1-0 up in 15 seconds with Calvert-Lewin going through and goal, and he's got to put his laces through that. He had two other big chances after that. Keeper makes a brilliant save. One where he'd more time maybe to bring it down, but I think one of the things Calvert-Lewin was excellent. He leads the line so well. Just add a few goals and we've got a player there. I thought we started well. Bournemouth came back into it. Weird free kick. You know, you got the draft excluder, but you should, if you were putting a draft excluder under your door, you wouldn't put half of one. And it was just a very weird, good finish. But we jumped where I should have hit Brendan in the face, really, shouldn't it? But there you go, didn't. And I thought Bournemouth, somebody's mentioned this over the week, that you can see Bielsa's influence on their manager and the way they moved the ball around. It was getting a bit worrying. And I thought transition is a great word. I only heard that the last year. So we were slow in the transition. I thought we weren't breaking, getting it forward quick enough. But as the half went on, we slowly got back into it. And Sean Longstaff taking corners, getting to the far post. Joe Rodon, who had back every single game to score or anytime score, totally forgot. And what does he do? I was disgusted. Now, what a great header. We took a bit of a flick. And And then second half, we were more in control. Sean Longstaff. That's all you can say about the game. He was everywhere. He won loads of duels, I think, record number of duels. He scored a goal. He assisted. We've got a bargain there, as we have in our left back Goodmanson. The work he did to get that second goal, he was scrabbling on the ground. He did it a couple of times. What a great player. Overall, we were good. Bournemouth are a good team. They really are. And it was weird that we actually, I think, making a substitution on a set piece is a weird thing to do, and the metric comes on. But I think Tanaka got caught, poor foul. The ball comes in, we don't clear it, and the guy scores. And to be honest, a couple of seconds after that, they could have won it, and it was a bit nervy. So overall, disappointing. We let the late goal in, but we said going into this, take a point all day. And when you sit back on Wednesday now and you look back, I have a nice, warm, happy feeling about it all. It was good, and we just need to keep going. I'm looking at other teams in the league. I watched the Everton West Ham game and other teams, and I think we are competing every game. Take out the Arsenal game, every game we're competing. We could be on 11 points. We mightn't have got a penalty against Everton. You can't wreck your head thinking about stuff like that. And I think generally we've got a team that compete in this division. We're hard to beat, and just need to get our strikers scoring. But 5 goals in the last 2 games suggests that we can, and plenty of shots on goal. Could have scored a few more. So I'm happy. Can't ask for more than that midweek. And no championship fixtures. There's loads of them. We'd have been at a game tonight. It's great. I'll sit back and watch them so far.
There was a little bit of me last night just sitting down watching TV went, I miss midweek games. I wish we had more matches to watch. And then I was like, no, hang on a second. No, don't want that. I don't want that. I hated that. So, But it was an interesting one, Jerry. You said we competed, Jerry. Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably should definitely have had 2, maybe even 3 with the chances that he got. You touched on that as well. But Paul, what do you think about that? Is that the moments in this league where the education kicks in of you've got to finish these chances when you get them if you're going to have any chance of finishing high up the table? We did well to get 2 goals anyway, give ourselves a chance of a win. Falls away just at the end. We'll get into the injury time stuff in a couple of minutes time. What were your thoughts on the game, Paul? And again, Sean Longstaff.
Gabby Goodmanson.
I love
just
him.
to throw that in as well. Just unbelievable. I think it's important to note as well that in the previous 5 games, Bournemouth had faced 921 shots, I believe it is, in total. We put them under pressure. They faced 19 alone against us at Ellen Road. I think the experience comes into it a little bit, and I think a bit of naivety probably at the start of it. It was interesting to see when Rodon got the equaliser, Longstaff literally pulled everybody to one side and bollocked everybody and just went, what are you doing, boys? We're Leeds United. We belong here. Start acting like you belong here. And I was really pleased to see that. I think he said it in his interview. Was really pleased to see that type of leadership. And I think that's very, very important. He might not have been the best in the first half. Joe, you and I have touched on this, but he was exceptional.
Yeah. Exceptional.
Exceptional in the second half. He was unbelievably good. But just overall, as the game wore on, we just got better, and we just got better. We were what we were trying to do. It was the low block side of things. What you've got to remember as well is that they are an extremely well coached side. It's a Bielsa disciple that we're looking at playing up against. You look at the comments that Iraola made against it for us at the end of the game, saying how well we pressed, how well we fought for the ball. The physicality was fair, but we were more physical. We ran more. We did. I mean, and again, Longstaff highlights that 12 kilometers he ran, that's just absolutely bonkers for somebody to do that much. Stack, again, not his best game, but he's there and he's competing. And like Jerry says, the important thing for me is the Arsenal game aside, we have been competing in every single game. We haven't looked outclassed. Barker, to his credit, has almost managed to work situations or manipulate the situations into our favour. I think it's testament to how we all feel about where we are in the league at this moment in time, that we're all disappointed that we've not beat joint third. That's how far we've come in this 6 games, that we see ourselves going, should have won that game. And yeah, you know, we talk about what happened right at the very, very end, but it's that we're actually disappointed that we've not won the game. And for me, that shows how we're growing into this league. You look at the total amount of teams that have come up and the points. We've got 23 points already combined, all 3 teams that have come up. Whereas, you know, the other teams at this point in time, it was like 8 points or 6 points, Burnley being involved in one of those as well. And the teams that have come up aren't here just to take part. They're here to actually compete. And I'm not seeing anybody absolutely outclass us. I think that barring a couple of signings at the end of the transfer window, what we're actually doing and able to do on the pitch is very, very good. Calvert-Lewin, yes, he should have had 2 goals. I still give him a little bit of leeway because he is still getting back to that full fitness side of thing. He won practically everything in the air in the game, and he was an absolute menace to be involved. He is an absolute menace to play against. Defenders don't like playing against him. He's got sharp elbows, sharp knees. He's strong. Doesn't look it because he's a slight guy, but he's very, very physical and he's very good. I like what I'm seeing from Okafor as well. Yes, he loses the ball on occasion, but we need a player that's got that ability to change a game and just move it on its head. And then when you've got all of the other players, like we said, Goodmanson is doing a sterling job. If it wasn't for him, we don't get that second goal because of his battling for it. Bogle is just unbelievably good. He's so important to us. He's very, very good in this side. I'm pleased with what I'm seeing. It's that, can we make that wiry? Yeah, I like that. Can we make that leap from the Championship to the Premier League, which is what we were all concerned about? And 6 games in, you can't say anything other than, yes, we have. It's disappointing, but take the positive from the fact that we're disappointed because we should have won. Whereas being lucky getting a point, we should have won. Let's be positive about that. And Spurs are just inconsistent, even though they're 4th.
We'll get to them in a minute. Some people said that I was slightly critical, and I tend to be straight after a game. I look at a game. I don't include goals and assists when I'm analysing the person's performance. Their moments, they add to it at the end. When I look at the other performances, I think I had Sean Longstaff on a 5 out of 10 at half time. By the end of the game, I had him on an 8. That's how different the 2 halves of football were. But I think Leeds in general were very different in 2 halves of football. I think we've seen similarities in Wolves and Fulham as well, where Leeds just start a little bit slowly. But I've had to try and regulate my thinking on this and go back to some of the reviews that we did and previews we did last year. And I was saying the exact same thing about Leeds at this stage last season as well, of going, we're not starting games quick enough. We're on the back foot. And then by the second half, we're pressing on and we look really dangerous. Same kind of stuff. Now, what's missing this season versus last season is that little bit of a finish towards the very end. But we're still in games. And as you said, Paul, the fact that we're still competing for games, and Jerry has said we don't look out of our depth, and we really don't. We don't at any point have we ever looked like we don't belong in the Premier League. And it's great to hear players like Sean Longstaff grab the players and say that to him, because I think he's probably got 30,000+ fans in the stadium all thinking the exact same thing of, you've competed with every single team. Stop playing within yourself. Get at these. And I thought Daniel Farke might be giving them instructions against Wolves to drop back and sit a bit deeper, but Longstaff and the players have said it's the players that have done it and they need to sort it out and push up the field. So we'll hopefully see a change on that. Substitutions, there's question marks around the timing of them. Jerry, you mentioned the set pieces. Jerry, how do you feel he's gotten the substitutions this year? It's always a big talking point with Daniel Farke. We're not getting 70 minutes anymore. We're getting a little bit earlier, around 66, 68. He broke from the Jack Harrison mold this week as well. But where do you sit on this? Because I feel he's got some right this season so far, but he's got some wrong as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose that goes with the territory. Looking at Bournemouth, the manager was constantly changing things around, and the quality he could bring on, he brought Doak, David Brooks, and Alex Scott, who's a real talent. Took them on. They changed the game with their attacking. But you know, we're short Dan James and Willie on the bench. They would be a good to take on. I think Jack Harrison, when he comes on, does a good job. He had a great shot. He could have scored. That would have done away with any demons and boos, which I think are gone anyway. So he's definitely doing a job. I think it's was nobody you could say was having a really bad game, needed to come off. It was more fatigue, and people are mentioning Brendan. I'm still not sure about Brendan. He does a lot of work. He runs, and he had a good game. He had a good game. We're probably very critical of him. Not a draft excluded, but then who is? And yeah, he had a good game. I think we mentioned Bogle, who I didn't expect to see in the team. I thought, we've got 2 full backs who attack and can defend. And I enjoyed, my favourite moment of the game was a pretend action man, hard man, Tyler Adams get good boot up the arse from Ampadu. That was great, and he wasn't happy, and then he got subbed. That was the moment of the game. And going forward, one thing about Calvert-Lewin, somebody told me, and somebody might check this, he actually played 32 games last season. So he's not the sick note that probably we're making out that he is, but he's just got to determine. You just look at him, and he's very confident. After his debut against Sheffield Wednesday, it didn't seem to faze him, and you just look at him. He works hard, and he's got a self-belief about himself, which is good. And I think the goals will come for him. So yeah, I suppose we got to, what we have on the bench, it's getting stronger all the time, but we got to use it wisely. And sometimes you think maybe you can change it, but I think on the overall game, it was sensible. I even said before the game, maybe we should try Tanaka on the right. And I suppose unfair throwing him in at that stage. Yes, he gave away a free kick, and it cost us. I mean, defending and everything else. But that's where, Dan James was on the bench, obviously not fit enough. They'd make a difference. He's an outlet, put the ball over the top. You never know. So substitutions, things work, things don't. I think Fark he's got enough credit in the bank so far. Nobody's moaning about him. If we'd got hammered the other day, of course, things change. But I think tactically, he's made us tighter defensively, not as pretty in attacking, but we could never do that in this division. Or we'd get hammered. So I think he's getting it about right at the moment. And if he gets everybody fit and has more options in attack, Okafor is interesting. I always make my comment 10 minutes in, we should bring him on. And then he does something. He runs at players. Sometimes maybe make the pass quicker, but sometimes when he does, he can produce the magic as well. So I don't think he's fully fit yet. I think he's still. This is me carrying a bit of timber. I can talk, but I still think he's got a bit to lose.
No one's asking you to do 90 minutes up and down the line, Jerry.
I could do it. I could do it if my ankle was all right. But yeah, he's got something, and I think confidence will come. So yeah, Daniel's doing okay, and I think he's getting it right. The analysis on Match of the Day is really winding me up. We were last on a good game. And then some drivel again about bottom teams staying up. They're doing very well. Leeds, and that was it. There was nothing. And I think we're many weeks in, 6-7 weeks in, and they haven't looked at a Leeds team, done their fancy graphics, right? And it's just platitudes about, they're doing all right, or on the other team. And that just really annoys me. I just fast forward the Shearer and Micah Richards now because it's drivel.
Is Micah Richards on Match Today as well now? God, he's on everything, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he's everything.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's burst onto the scene on there, hasn't he? Yeah, looks like he's going to burst out of the scene. That's just like he did in his career. Again, I can talk.
Paul, I want to talk about something else because it popped up in the chat, and you sent me a text after the weekend's game, and you said, "When are we going to have a conversation about BA?"
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Aaronson, quality to one side. The volume of work that man got through at the weekend was serious, and has been said, we are not as solid when he's not in this side. And I think that's why he looks to Jack Harrison at times as well for more defensive-minded winger, except the odd time he gets nutmegged outside his own penalty area. But outside of that, Brendan's done really, I thought he was excellent at the weekend. You're not going to get the creativity stuff. He was unlucky not to have a very spectacular assist with an overhead kick that Dominic Calvert-Lewin definitely should have scored when he spaced in the penalty area to head the ball straight at the keeper. What have your thoughts been on Brendan so far this season? And again, this is very much to everyone who's going to jump in the comments in the context of we know he hasn't got the quality we're looking for creativity in the Premier League, but he's still a member of the squad and he's still putting in shifts and he's working hard for that jersey. But your thoughts, Paul?
I think he is a lot better than what people give him credit for. I think he gets a lot of hate because it's the in thing to do at this moment in time. Brendan Aaronson is Brendan Aaronson. He's not a world beater. What you get from Brendan Aaronson is you get 150%, which is what we've seen every single game. Barker very much wants his 2 forward left and right players to also track back as well, to slip into position when needs be. And whether, regardless of what you think about Ramazani doesn't do that. That's the big difference maker with Ramazani. Ramazani's tracking back wasn't brilliant. There was a situation last year where Ramazani lost the ball, and I think ever since then, Barker has just not liked him since then, which is it's up to the manager, isn't it? But what I like with Aaronson is he's very, very good in close, tight spaces. He's very, very good with disrupting play, which is what he does. That's why he was so successful in the number 10 role last season. He's very disruptive. You have to get your mind away from him just being purely an attacker. And were it not for the fact that Calvert-Lewin's neck muscles weren't very strong last weekend, he would have had practically a scorpion kick assist, which would have gone down in the annals of time of being an absolutely brilliant thing to see. But he is very much what you would need late on in a game. I think the fact that he's been brought on and purely because of injury, he's not let anybody down, realistically speaking. He's done the part that he needs to do. He gets in your face. He does all of that kind of stuff, the ratting around and being difficult and tough to beat, all of that kind of stuff. He does it really, really well. And I think what he was doing on Saturday as well is that he was cutting inside to the right hand into the middle a little bit as well. He seems to have been told to just come in a little bit when we're attacking, almost into like a number 10 type role again.
Yeah, because when the ball's been on the left-hand side, I've seen him right across the pitch.
Right, he's been right in the middle. So maybe he's been asked to do a couple of different things. But I mean, you can look at his statistics and the way that it all kind of runs through. He's doing what you want him to do. He's won 10 fouls. He's won 28 duels, 12 tackles won so far, 16 ball recoveries so far in all of the games this season, 0.8 expected assists, all of that kind of stuff. And listen, look, we know stats don't mean jack knackers. I know Jer's not too into them because he prefers the view of his eyes. But what we can only go off of is, once you put it in that, is off of what you've seen eyes-wise. And yes, it's not the most attractive. Okay, well, let's drill down into it a little bit. And the stuff that he's doing is really, really good. And if he was more attacking, better at crossing the ball in, he'd be a phenomenal player. But that's not what he does. His job is to come on at 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and tie it up a little bit more. But he's here for the long haul at the moment while we've got the injuries on the right-hand side. And he's done okay. He's done fine.
Yeah. The criticism, Jerry, is that he's not physical enough and he's not big enough. I haven't seen that this season. I haven't seen him bouncing off people. I've seen him, if anything, getting his body in front of players, being uncomfortable to play against, winning the ball, winning throw-ins, winning free kicks. That's what you want from him at this point in his career. Yeah,
he still is a bit light, but he's winning more free kicks rather than just losing the ball. And some of his couple of passes, I noticed it last week against Wolves. He played a through ball, which was just snuffed out by Wolves, and I think there was one like that again, playing through ball. So give him his due, because he's had to work a long way to get back into the fans' good books after everything. But that's football, that's business. So we forget about that. And we were surprised when he was still there. Surprised he was a starter in the team. And now, as you say, you'd be surprised if he's not in the team. And I suppose it's down to Willie or Dan James or whoever to work their way back into team and win that place back. Because we've got a settled team now and a way of working, and that's important as well. So don't be making 4 or 5 changes every game. And he's earning his right. Nice to see him get a goal. As you say, if he got an assist, I think he had that overhead kick as well in the box. Which was just comical. The draft excluded. It was comical, and you can't blame him for that. It was just a bit mad. Because many times you see that and you go, you just think, what's the point in that? And then straight on the jump. And I think it was a bit like we noticed last week where Ampadu was pointing to the spot. I think there was a bit of that going on as well, and well worked by Bournemouth. But it's one of those things. But Brendy's all right. He's doing okay, wee Brendy. Just keep working hard.
Yeah, we need a couple of workhorses in the team. We've had to watch Igor Pajot score 2 very good goals last night for Marseille. So it's we have to focus on hard work and not look at the other things. Don't look at the pretty things. Just focus on the hard work.
He was never.
That's what we need to do.
Champions League was always going to appeal to him. We hadn't got that
It was.
yet.
And he's not had the best start to life in Marseille either. So
No, he struggled up till this week. Yeah.
very, very much struggled. So
right, let's take a step on. Let's have a look ahead to. We've got Spurs this weekend. The return of 2 ex-Leeds United players, probably slightly different reception. Well, I wouldn't think overly slightly different receptions, but Archie Gray returns to the club. He's been a bit part player for Spurs so far this season, if truth be told. And Jed Spence, who has not been a bit part player now in England international, returned to Elland Road for this weekend's game, and a decent side that's doing quite well. They're up in the top 4. They've looked really dangerous, Paul, in terms of the running stats that they put up so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts going into this game?
I will snap your hands off for a point now.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I would 100 million, 10% snap your hands off for a point. They are a very, very good side in terms of what they can do. Looking at their last few games, they've won, lost, won, drawn. So they're doing well. My only concern would be, are they going to be draw specialists this year potentially? We briefly touched on it, but their 2 lowest performing players so far this season are Doggy and Spence. Oddly enough, but we're talking stats again. But that's maybe potential for us. I'm looking forward to seeing Spence up against Okafor. I'm wondering how that goes. My biggest concern in the entire game is Simmons and Kudus. They're my 2 biggest concerns in the game, and how we handle those. And Paulinho can be deceptively looks like a school teacher, but is very, very good as well. So they're sort of my big concerns, if you like. But it's a different kettle of fish at Elland Road. We're a different breed of team, and with the fans behind them, I'm looking forward to going and seeing what it's going to be like. This is I'd say this is probably on a level, if not a little bit higher than what Newcastle is. So yeah, I'm just
biggest test outside Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%. Biggest test outside Arsenal, I would say, without a shadow of a doubt. And then after this game, we've got, in terms of from a fixtures point of view, I know we're going to touch on it soon, there's the opportunities to sort of really pick up points. So I would absolutely snap your hand off for a point right now. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jerry, it's going to be a tough enough game. As I said, players coming back to Elland Road. We have looked, as you've said, like we belong in the Premier League. This is the first real strong test at home. Newcastle obviously was a test, but this is in our own back garden. This is a tough one for at home. And as Andy has said earlier on the chat, all the talk's been about Leeds' unbeaten record, 380 plus days now. It comes out this week, that statistic, and you're now wondering, has that put the hoodoo on the whole thing? What are your thoughts going into this game?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you doggy, is that his name? I want some transfer speculation about him, because I want to say, how much will you doggy be in the window? But you can have that one. That's just a bad joke. My favorite joke. It's there to be. It was there. It's an open goal.
It was.
Spurs, I think players coming back. Archie Gray, he's not been as regular as that. He got great experience last year. He's a veteran now. Yeah, no, he's got 13 now. He's got loads of time. Jed Spence, I was so disappointed he didn't make it with us, because he was fantastic at Forest. Seemed to be a bit of attitude stuff previously with Spurs, but he's got his stuff together now, and he's quality player. He should get a good reception. You know, he never did anything wrong. Spurs are a good team, and I think results haven't suggested that. The Brighton game a couple of weeks ago, they were 2-0 down and got back to 2-2 and should have won it. They had enough chances, and they were excellent on the day. And I think the Wolves game pretty similar. Paulinho, that's a good description. The teacher, he looks, although none of my teachers are physique like that when he took his shirt off the other day. But anyway, he's dangerous, and I think I remember when we played Fulham a few years ago in the cup. Did he score? But he was a right pain. So I would snap your hand off like Paul for a point in this game. Our last couple of games against Spurs, traumatic. Was the relegation day we were down, and the day Bielsa got sacked. But this will be a test, yeah. But I think Europe is very significant this year. I think teams are a bit traumatized by. I think Forest are going to struggle this year.
Yep.
And Spurs, they had to travel the north of Norway, I think, and last night and scraped a 2-2 draw, and all that stuff affects teams. I think it's different for a lot of players. So I think we got to play on that early kickoff and everything else. But yeah, no doubt about it. This will be a tough game, but we can compete, and we've shown that we can do okay against teams like this. If we're going for the three game scenario, 4 points out of 3 games is possibly the one we don't get anything. Yeah. But I'm going into it pretty confident. I think we'll catch them at a good time, possibly. Remind me of that when we're 4-0 down. But yeah, we will catch them at a good time. I don't expect any changes, and I think the team will be the same. Yeah. And I think it'll just be who's on the bench. It'll be interesting to see if Harry Gray is on the bench with Dan James not there. That would be Harry Gray and Archie warming up on the sideline together. That would be something. Imagine you're Eddie or Frank Gray looking at that. That'd be incredible, just seeing 2 quality players. I bet you Harry's desperate to get on. That would be something else. So yeah, I'm cautiously confident, but won't get carried away if it doesn't go so well for us. But I think
just to point out as well. So they drew 2-2 last night in Europe, didn't they? So and they were lucky. They were lucky to get that. Went 2 down, went to 2-2. Polinia scores a last-minute equaliser against Wolves in their last Premier League fixture, and then they drew 2-2 with Brighton. Yeah, they were 2-0 down again, but came back to win 2-2. So there is something to be said with how they've been playing in their last couple of games. Maybe something that we can look at, or something that we can work on.
Yeah, there's gaps.
Yeah, it's amazing how many extra time goals there was at the weekend. Was there 7, 8,
Huge.
9, something like that, 90 minutes plus? So it just, I think, just not Premier League, but any game these days, there's going to be 5-6 minutes which make all the difference. So it's not just us.
No, we need to stay tuned in now. That's the lesson that has to be learned over the last couple of weeks, is play till 96 minutes, not 90 plus. You have to stay tuned in and concentrate. And the same with the players coming on, they've got to come in and hit the ground running. They can't afford to have a couple of minutes to get into the steam of the game. They've got to hit it straight away. And same with the lads that are on the park, need to concentrate until the whistle goes and stay tuned in, because that's what was the undoing of us at the weekend. They switched off as the ball was crossed in. Didn't mark 2 runners. That's a tap in at the back post. Very well taken, though, to be fair. When he hit the ball on the volley, it was a nice finish. But yeah, of our own making again, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. If you're the goals you're conceding are mistakes, great, you can fix them. But if there's systematic issues, it's a much bigger problem, but not to be the case. We're going to just jump ahead now real quick. Paul has sent me this thing, and I quite like the look of this, and I want Paul to talk through it. This is the English Premier League 2025-2026 fixture difficulty Opta analyst for the next 5 matches for Leeds. The previous version of this that Paul sent me had Leeds up here. This is ranked by hardest to least hardest. And Leeds were up here for the opening 6 games of the season, opening 5 games of the season. And the next 5 were down here. Paul, do you want to talk us through this a little bit?
Yeah, it's just a lovely, pretty picture that just makes you feel a little bit better about how we're going. What that kind of shows you is just in terms of the level of difficulty that we're going to be playing. So it's rated from like 80 to 85 all the way up to 100. So it's like it's worked on a 20-point scoring system, and it's based on obviously how other teams have performed, and you get an overall score of what's left over there. And our average opponent rating is 89.4 over the next 5. Whereas Arsenal, for argument's sake, Arsenal have got a dead easy running. Yeah. Apparently. But you look at some of the other teams that are in and around there, so you focus on teams that are close to us in terms of what they're doing. Wolves are just above us in terms of what they've got coming next. And then you look at Burnley in middle of the table wise, 90.9. So Burnley have got Villa away. They've got us at home, Wolves away, Arsenal at home, and then they've got West Ham away. So it's kind of, it's just a good way to look and just sort of say, right, where's a good sort of period for us to pick up some points? And this next grouping of 5 games, definitely, is a really, really good place for us to pick up some points. I think we need to be looking at Burnley as a game where we should be picking up points. West Ham, because of their bad start. I know Nuno's in there now, but as a potential for us picking up points, that's a home game as well. We've got Brighton away, and then we've got Nottingham Forest away, who haven't had the best of starts. Even though they've been running teams ragged, they just can't seem to get the final third right. So there's opportunities for us there, and that's the way that it needs to be looked at, 100%. I mean, look at Brentford, for God's sakes. That's a hellacious grouping of games.
Yeah.
They're at the top. They've got Man City at home, West Ham away, Liverpool at home, Crystal Palace, by the way, who are not doing too bad either. Rumours abound that their manager is being tapped up by Man United as we speak, and Newcastle at home as well as their fixtures. So it's, yeah. I mean, yeah, Paul's right in the comments. It means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. But for us who are looking at ways that we can de-stress ourselves when it comes to getting points on the board and potentially staying up, this is what it turns out being. You start looking at charts, you start looking at spreadsheets, you start doing stupid filters on spreadsheets, all that kind of stuff. It's a way of coping. But I really like this because just from a visual point of view, it just lets me know sort of what's coming up. I'm just not looking forward to when December's fixtures come.
I'm just going to say.
Yeah, to the people in the chat that are going to, the next 50 people that are going to tell us that this means nothing, it's been said. So we take that. But what I would say is this just gives us a little bit of a talking point. It's the same as people coming onto the instant match reaction telling me, stop talking about the game, we got a point. It's a very short video if we're only talking about a scoreline. Same with this. We know we've got 5 games coming up. We want to see how the teams are playing are and the other sides that will be in around us, who they're playing as well. It's a nice visual from that perspective just to give us an idea because, again, rather than just talk about Leeds' next 5 games, I find Brentford's run very interesting because they're one place below us currently in the table. And that, looking at their games versus our games, it's a really good opportunity for Leeds, Jerry, to open up a little bit of a gap between us and them should these games go our way. But where is your head at with these next set of fixtures coming up?
Yeah, as I said, the 4 points from 3 games, continue that, and we're 48, 50 points. And the next 3, I see you get 4 points. And you know, you look at Brighton away is always a tricky one. Hard ground to get to. You only get a bus to the ground. There's nowhere you can drive to it. Forest, Ange mightn't even make it to Christmas. I've got a few Forest mates, and they don't like him at all. It's not a happy camp, and they can't buy a win. But as you say, come December, we've got a Brentford-esque run. We got Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool again, Crystal Palace. Twice. So we really, at this period, I think we identified when the fixtures came out from the Fulham game to where we are now, right to the end of this was a time we need to pick up proper points. It's very important. And if you go into the December having picked up the points and be mid-table-ish and 6-7 points off relegation, that gives you a bit more confidence rather than scrapping. And anything you can get from those games is a bonus. Because, you know, Sunderland, they might have, you look at their run, they've started really well, but they've had a decent fixture list, you know, and maybe that catches up with you at every stage. But we know from before when Leeds, we had Man City, and we won at Man City that famous day. Even Jesse Marsh got a win at Anfield, so you never know. But that just shows you that this is an important spell in the season. We got to get to 20 points as quick as we can by Christmas, and this is a great opportunity. And there's, you know, you look at the Tottenham game there, and that any home game is, I think Leeds is marking itself as a fortress, if you like. I think Premier League teams are noticing that the crowd are worth an extra point, if you like, for Leeds, or worth the pressure. And I think those are the games we just got to make sure we stay unbeaten at home, and then what we can get away. I see Burnley, and that's a good chance to get a win. And the rest just takes the pressure off if you get these points early. So 4 points from 3 games, I'll take that all season.
Yeah, Paul, from looking at that, the ones that I'm mostly interested in outside just the home games, Burnley, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, because they're down there where we are, will likely be in the bottom half of the table. And again, looking at their runs, not an easy run for Burnley, Aston Villa. Then they've got us, Wolves. That's an interesting game in itself, Arsenal and West Ham as well. So they've got a couple of teams that are down there with them as well. And then, as I mentioned, Sunderland, Man United, Wolves, Chelsea, Everton, and Arsenal. Tough run of games. We have our tough run of games in December. What do you want points wise, Paul? What's a good number coming out of those 5 games?
9.
Okay,
That'd be good.
Jerry.
I'll just do a quick calc. I think 7 is achievable. If we got 9, I think if we get 9 out of that lot, I think we go a long way to staying up. That would be fantastic. Yeah. Get the 9 by with the West Ham game, and then free hits.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, just a couple of questions to fly through. Gary is asking, who's been your standout player that you think deserves to be player of the month for September? Jerry, who's your standout so far, and who would you give player of the month to?
I think we've mentioned Goodmanson. I think he's been pure consistent. Longstaff, it's taken a couple of games, but yeah, I'd say Goodmanson. A special mention for Carl Darlow. Done nothing wrong since he's come in, and you would say it's not his Perry. I don't know. We're not even talking about him. How fit he is, because we're happy with Darlow, and it's his place to lose. Joe Rodon's been excellent. Bogle's been excellent. You go right through the whole team. Ampadu, when he's fit, is excellent. But I would say for just from day one, Goodmanson for me is the 10 million quid. We went on about our recruitment team, and that's pretty good. You look at that guy playing for Liverpool from Bournemouth last night. His name escapes me.
Kirk. And I like Kirk, but he's struggling.
I wouldn't swap Pascal for Konate either.
No,
he's all over the place. And I look around the players and big money spent, and I think our recruitment been okay. So Goodmanson for me.
Okay, Paul, where are you at?
Somebody's mentioned it in the comments. I think Rodon's been pretty good, reliable, consistent.
The fact that no one is mentioning his name as a defender in the Premier League means he's doing his job really,
exactly,
well.
100%. But I think in terms of when you do eye test and really sort of that side of things, it is either Goodmanson or it's Longstaff. Those two in particular. I think just watching Goodmanson is every inch the Premier League left back that we've needed for about the last 10 years now. Firpo, by all accounts, is struggling, isn't he, at Betis in terms of just setting back in again to that role. But yeah, Longstaff is. I've got a soft spot for Longstaff just because I like players that come in with a bit of a chip on their shoulder and with something to prove, and he's 100% doing that at the moment. And Goodmanson's talked on the own goal side of things as well, and how he felt after that. He was in tears. It affected him for 2 days. He was
a reaction there, Paul.
Yeah. Well, that's how you put a reaction out. I just like what I see about him. He's strong. He's technically very gifted as well. I've seen him nutmeg 3 or 4 people now, and it's hilarious to watch. But he's a very, very good player, and he seems to fit in really well with regardless who's on the left hand side with him. Be it an Okafor that he's having to work with, be it a Stack that he's having to work with, even if it's a Jack Harrison that he's having to work with. I really like what I see from him.
Yeah, I think Jack sits a bit deep for me and gets in his way a little bit. He tends to not be able to. I think that's probably deliberate as well. But I would look. Gabby Goodmanson for me has been a standout player for us this season so far. I love Joe Rodon. He's probably my favorite player in the league. His shirt deserves lots of songs to be sang about him. I think he's magic, and he should probably wear a magic hat, and that's where my head is with him. I think he's been phenomenal, and I'm a big fan of Joe Rodon. But yeah, it's been a really good start. The fact that we're having these conversations at this stage tells us how good the start has been, comparative to obviously what's expected from us this season. So yeah, it's been really good. Quick shout out to Freefall, and thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. We need to stop sitting too deep when we have a 1-goal lead. Hopefully it doesn't cost us at the end of the season. I've put that just down to early season Daniel Farkas stuff that tends to go away after a couple of weeks. It was the same last year. So yeah, we'll see it there. White Snake's talking about this, and it's a worthwhile point. My only concern is the extra time goals. We need to stop conceding late in games, and that will likely be the case against Spurs as well. And that just comes down to fitness and the level. And again, as has been said tonight already, believing in yourselves and knowing that you belong in the Premier League and you've done enough to justify that. Go and get stuck into people. And that's what I want to see. Leeds players kicking more opposition players up in the air. That would be great. Massive thanks, as always, for Jerry and Paul for joining us tonight. Again, if you want to vote for us in the Content Awards, QR code is there on the screen. You can scan that if you want to. And you can check out today's news where there's a bit of an update on the Elland Road redevelopment and a massive change in terms of the architect that has been put in charge of bringing that to life. You can check that out today if you want it. Outside of that, Paul, what's going on your channel this week?
Shorts have been back on the menu again from the usual stuff. I did a couple of bits and pieces. I'm probably going to do a preview video for the Tottenham game. I'll do that more than likely on Thursday, so keep an eye on that. I've gone over 3,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate that. Inexplicably, and I don't know why, I'm now at 3,745. So I am very, very close to 4,000 subscribers out of nowhere. So yeah, it's been just the support has been phenomenal. So it's just nice motivation to keep it going and everything. So much love and thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, mate. It's been a tough couple of weeks for everybody on YouTube. So yeah, I think the support is appreciated. Jerry, what's going on for you this week and the weekend?
Apart from telling bad jokes, which in two most days, that's a good one. That you can have that one. We'll do a bit on talking Leeds pod. My son is over he's over from Ireland for the game. So I'm meeting up with him possibly Friday night. So we may have a night in Leeds on Friday, and maybe watch Dundalk get promotion as well, which will be a big thing. Yeah, we'll get together for the early kickoff and gear up for a trip to Portugal the following week to see Ireland's World Cup campaign get back with a 3-0 win in Lisbon. I was going so well in my analysis today, wasn't I? I was really going well there.
I was happy with the podcast. You brought them up.
It's a nice city. Lots of things to see. Yeah, it's not going to be great. But anyway, no, so looking forward to that. It'll be good to see the boy. And his tour is coming up and he's playing in Leeds on the 28th of November in a Porto club, I think it's called. So, and his album's coming out as well. So yeah, I got to plug him. Yeah, he's my pension.
I'll get all the details off you, Jerry, and I'll put them up the channel.
You will do,
so
yeah.
Go and check him out.
So hopefully see you. I might go and see Paul on the telly if I see him on Saturday. TNT.
Yeah, stand behind him, give him the bunny ears. Yeah. Put him on.
Do I have to whiten my teeth before I go on?
That's 4K, mate. You want to look the best, comb your hair, all that kind of stuff.
Comb my hair, yeah.
No, you look good.
I have to apologize as well because I've been pronouncing this man's name the same way and I've been pulled up on it a couple of times today already. Lucas Radebe. Apparently I'm saying his name wrong.
Oh, Radebe, yeah.
I've heard Radebe, I've heard Radebe, but I've always called him Lucas Radebe. Am I wrong?
I've heard Radebe,
Radebe I've heard as well, yeah.
I'm not great at pronunciations. Radebe and Johnny Gillis. Yeah, he was there as well.
Another good one.
Radebe, yeah, but it's maybe just an Irish thing. But yeah, that's just the final thing, just to box it off, because it was brought up today. And I was like, well, I don't know how I should be pronouncing it then, because I've always called him Lucas Radebe. Anyway, right, folks, massive thanks to the lads again for joining us. Always a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening as well. And I am back tomorrow morning for the Leeds news. Check out today's news again, as I say, for the update on Elland Road, as well as a couple of other bits and pieces that have been floating around. I'm back in the morning. I'll talk to you then. See you, folks. Bye.